How did you get that thing to scan my face and check my heart rate and do all that just with a facial scan?
AI now can see literally a million times more variations in your skin tone than the human eye can.
So pretty soon you're going to be walking through the airport and someone's going to come up and say, sir, you're about to have a heart attack.
Yeah, that seriously could happen. We had a pregnant woman, and because of our service, she found out that she was about to lose her baby. This is happening right now. It's not like years away.
So you're like a little baby Elon Musk. You could end up revolutionizing free healthcare.
No one is really doing what we're doing.
Do you think it'll ever be a point where there are no doctors because AI is better than any doctor in the world?
I actually believe we're on the path to creating that not too far from now. They essentially already have a method to eliminate aging completely and reverse it.
There's someone alive today that'll live to 200 years old. You're messing in an industry where there's huge revenue. Aren't you worried about getting... What it is, Brad Lee back again with another episode of Dropping Bombs. Today in the studio, folks, I've got a real treat for you, especially if you find healthcare expensive. Because this dude seen a few cracks in the global healthcare system, and instead of just talking about it, he actually developed something to fix it. This dude built DOCC.com, a global telemedicine platform that delivers real medical help to real people fast as hell. No gatekeepers, no red tape, just free AI-powered, doctor-backed, blockchain secured healthcare that's already serving hundreds of thousands across the world. And with a bold vision and a zero tolerance policy for excuses, he's proven that you don't need permission to disrupt an entire industry. You just need the guts to make a move. So this isn't some basically pie in the sky idea. We're basically talking mental health support, general medicine, even veterinary care available to anyone, anywhere in under 15 minutes. That's crazy.
Thank you.
And technically free.
Yeah, it's free. There's 15 minutes free that solves most basic things that people need these days.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's what people are going to be like, well, what's the catch? Well, I just saw a little demo of it. There is no catch. Not only that, today should be, if my team gets it right, the day it goes public.
Yeah. We're listing
on Nasdaq.
Yeah.
So if there's any listeners, you better hurry up because it just got public and it's on the Nasdaq. DOCC.com. You know your symbol yet?
DOCC.
DOCC. I'm telling you, you better get in where you fit in because I see it going. Well, number one, it's already global.
We actually are focused on the U.S. and Latin America right now. It's the plan with this next stage as a public company is take it to all continents as fast as possible.
Yeah, and it's. Aren't you worried about getting killed?
Not really. I'm Mexican, so you have to deal with that stuff down there. But it's. I just think that even at this basic level, the world needs something like this. Why? I always thought years ago. I thought, why doesn't a service like this exist? But there's still ways to innovate, and I'm inspired by a lot of the great people that we've seen, successful. So I see them doing big changes, and I thought, well, why not?
Yeah, but you're messing in an industry where there's huge revenue.
Yeah.
And when you disrupt that, you might find yourself in a huge hole in the ground.
Well, to be honest, I think that the way we're doing it I think I see it more as a transition from like what the music industry went through with iTunes. There had to be some evolution because you have new technology. There's all these new technologies coming out. You have to understand the reach of them. And that's obviously going to change industries. And in the case of healthcare, it's literally one of the main industries that's going to be affected by this wave of technology.
So let's walk people through it. So basically they'll have an app on their phone.
Yeah.
They open the app. They answer a few questions. Boom. Doctor gets on.
Correct.
Prescribes them whatever they need to solve the problem or give them whatever advice or care they need.
Correct.
Free.
Yeah. Yep.
Isn't that crazy? Come on, man. I need some shares in this puppy.
Yeah. Well, it's, I think we're doing this specifically as a public company because the nature of our services, like you said, it's a sensitive thing. It's a very big industry. And, we needed that push to really make it global, and this is a place to do it.
Well, what kind of impact do you think it's going to have? Like, not for people, but for the medical space?
I think, obviously very disruptive. A lot of people have told me, oh, especially in the US, you're going to be stepping a lot of toes. And I always look at that and saying, well, actually we're surrounded by examples of, toes being stepped all over the place. I always love the story of the man who invented the cotton gin. Have you ever heard of that story? Yeah. Well, that was I love that story because it takes a big problem like slavery was a huge global industry basically back then. And now, because he understood the reach of the technology, combined that with the entrepreneurial spirit and literally transformed or started the transformation that led to the end of slavery. And, things like that. It's, the U.S. is a place that those changes, I think that's why I love, I'm also an American. I love this country. It's the American dream to do things like that.
Well, have you heard the story about the guy who invented cars that didn't need gas?
Big fan, of course.
Yeah. See, where is he now?
Well, wealthiest man in the world for one, but I don't think he does it really for the money.
Well, the point is like when you disrupt a technology to one degree, you save the world. And then on the other hand, you risk your own personal safety. But the only reason I'm saying that is because I got a lot of people that are like conspiracy people.
Yeah.
They think the healthcare system is designed to keep us sick.
Yeah.
And basically, there's probably some truth to that.
I do see it. I've traveled the world. I've met, presidents from many countries. They have good intentions. It's really the people that surround them and the interests involved that, there's hidden hands moving things behind the scenes of people. Yeah. And they don't know, it's a lot of the public, the general public doesn't really get to see those things. I would say in healthcare in particular, at least from a political viewpoint, it's always a medal that people want to put on their chest that, they want to be part of because it's such a basic need, but, all large industries have that, have a lot of, people behind the scenes that are trying to push. I still think that the need is so enormous to have a service like what we're offering that,
there's a lot of people that need it. That's why I'm saying people need to buy stock and buy it quick. Cause I'll bet you it's going to grow fast.
Yeah.
So just for the listeners, ultimately there's an app, people will download it.
Yep.
It's free. And when they got an issue, they log in. Dude, how did you get that thing to scan my face and check my heart rate and do all that just with a facial scan?
Well, basically, AI now can see literally a million times more variations in your skin tone than the human eye can. So it's figuring out based on the time span that it scans, because it does it, within the first 7 seconds, it'll get your heart rate. After 15 seconds, it'll get your blood pressure, things like that. The more time you get it to scan your face, the more things you can pick up, and you have to train it. So
isn't that crazy?
It's crazy. And it's a world that we're transitioning into a world that's really just everything around you is data, and you can have AIs literally. I mean, that's a reality that people have to kind of accept now. Even the space between us right now is data.
So pretty soon you're going to be walking through the airport and someone's going to come up and say, "Sir, you're about to have a heart attack."
Yeah, that seriously could happen.
Yeah, follow me quickly.
No joke.
Because the signs that the AI is reading just from the cameras around an airport.
Correct.
So if you guys saw this, it was crazy. You just stick your face in the app, boom, scan. Now it's got all your vitals, which obviously transfers to the doctor that's going to be helping you.
Correct.
And then, you answer a few questions, upload some pictures, anything that you want. And by the way, if you don't have pictures, what if it's an emergency? Is there any disclaimers like say, "Hey, emergency, call 911"?
Correct. We're not designed to be an emergency service. It's free basic healthcare. It has its limits, but it's really primary care, what we're going after, changing the journey that people take with healthcare. We want to be that go-to spot where it starts.
Now let's say, and I'm not, I'm not trying to bring it down to a juvenile subject matter, but let's say, for example, somebody's got a red blister on their penis or vagina. I'm being medically sound.
That's
so would you take
possible.
A picture of the D?
You could, yeah.
And upload it?
You could.
Like let me see the red spot, because that's what a doctor would do. But there's a lot of people, they don't go to the doctor.
That's right.
Because, it's kind of embarrassing to walk in and whip it out and show them a boil or something going wrong. Herpes, this, that, and the other thing. So this gives you almost a level of anonymity.
Yeah, it does. It allows you to get a certain level of quality care from your home, to actually speak to someone too, because our tech is amazing, but we cannot forget the human component of it. There's still a doctor on the other side, or a nurse practitioner on the other side, or a veterinarian on the other side. That's really, when you think of care, you're thinking of other humans caring for you. That's kind of like the definition of healthcare. That's what, to me, it always seemed like that's what true care is. That's a true value transaction right there. But yeah, you can, the whole purpose of what we're doing is to give people that tool where they can start their healthcare journey, not be embarrassed of what's going on in their lives. Just get them a solution.
What about, like, obviously your children have sniffles, et cetera. You just show their face. You
can show their face, or you as a parent could, explain the situation. The doctor may say, hey, you know what, let's scan your daughter's face, for example, just to get more information. In the end, they're tools. It's really how they're used. It's how they're used where they become effective. In our case, and this applies to anything in healthcare. When healthcare is huge, one of the huge pillars of healthcare is data, epidemiology. So, doing analytics on public health, finding out new things because you have additional data. So now with a face scan, with all the discovery questions that you get, we have a complete picture, a much better picture for primary care. And it just makes it incredible, because really it's a service that is very complete from the comfort of your own home.
For free.
For free, yes.
So I don't. That's the part that's like, what? Free? Because again, like sometimes if my daughter has a sniffles or the cold, now I have a concierge doctor.
Yeah,
he's going to be in trouble. But there's people without concierge doctors. So what do? Well, they get their kid.
Yeah.
They don't do anything for a couple of days to make sure, like, it doesn't just go away on its own.
Yeah.
But most people, they'll take them down to the doctor. Yeah. That visit costs money.
Yeah.
Even if they're like, oh, it's just the cold, here's a little prescription, take her home. They're getting whacked for that.
That's true.
Now, a lot of people have insurance. Insurance company must love you guys, right? No?
Well, I would say we focused on building a solution without really looking at what is everybody else doing? What's within the box? We're trying to think outside of the box. Just how do you solve this from a clinical perspective? And really, healthcare is focused on the doctor-patient relationship. That's where it all starts, So that's what we focused on. And then actually the, pharmacy, insurance become components of that, but it's not a requirement to use a service. So, some people that maybe only they'll see a doctor maybe once every 2 years. They're pretty healthy, but you want it to be there for that moment. Most people in that situation, some of them may not even have insurance. So, and we had to make it also a global thing. So this is our business model is focused on solving the problem, making it work as a scalable business, and working in multiple markets.
Well, what I saw, the demo, was extremely easy to use.
Yeah.
All quick, made sense. And so I see a lot of people using it. Do you see any chance of it being overused? meaning now you get the same person whacking you every single day with every little tiny thing like a hypochondriac.
That's very controllable to a certain extent. It's the system itself, and doctors also can, they can recognize if the patient's trying to abuse the system. So there's controls to prevent that from happening. Some people will tell you their life story if you let them. It's just they'll sit there and tell the doctor everything, but that's really it's not solving the problem. We're focused on being efficient and speedy, and that's really the if a patient would try to do that, you mentioned someone putting a dick pic in there, that those things are fine if they're clinical. Some people may, try to do things, but in reality, the majority of people, at least from our statistics from the past and all our efforts in the past, the majority, respect the service. This is
no one would waste their time just pranking the service, but I would see hypochondriacs like hitting it up every second.
Yeah.
I got a headache.
Yeah.
Or people trying to hope you prescribe them something.
Yeah.
What kind of insurance do you have to combat the misdiagnosis? Because isn't it whatever I tell you, you're just going to go off of?
Well, the thing is that all doctors have to have insurance, just because they're doctors. It's just a basic necessity for doctors. So it covers that. And also we limit things like, for example, no opioids. It's just across the board policy, company policy, no opioids. We don't do right now medical marijuana. Some people have approached us and said, hey, can we do that? Something we are considering, but what
about like my back hurts? How do you know my back hurts?
It's all based on the information that you're telling the doctor.
I know, but if I say like my back's killing me, it's killing me. Can you give me something, doc? And all I'm looking for is some painkillers, some sort of pill.
Any doctor would know exactly what steps to take.
Just as they would if they visited the office.
Correct. That's the whole purpose, to really say, all right, you're having the clinic primary care experience right in your home, or wherever you may be. That's really the.
Do you plan on monetizing it after, like with a subscription fee, or is it going to be free forever?
Well, there's always going to be free basic healthcare. You have 15 minutes. Everyone gets that free. Always. It's the reason why this was my life's work. I mean, I've been at this for years and years. And that was for me, the grand problem to solve. I thought, well, to me, that's the best thing I could do with my life. I was lucky to discover that at a young age. And so that will always exist. That's the whole purpose of it, because, I studied medicine in Mexico, and there's, people that are impoverished there, a much larger impoverished population. We had to make it work for them as well. But, subscriptions and other additional products, definitely, we have hundreds of people in the company, and everyone's focused on making this as best as possible. So we do have other things in the works.
Can I go download the app now?
You will on October 1st here in the US.
So as of whenever this airs, which will be going public, even when it goes public, that's sooner than it's available.
Yes, that's correct. We generate our revenues outside of the US right now. Here in the US, it's launching on October 1st.
So October 1st, folks, if it's not October 1st and you're listening to this, then wait. But if it's October 1st, go to the App Store, download DOCC.com app.
Yeah.
And you got free healthcare.
Yeah.
Brought to you by Dropping Bombs.
Yeah, definitely.
See that? So what made you so passionate? You said it's your life's work. Why?
Well, I started, I studied medicine in Mexico. I was studying, and really, what many people go through in their 20s, I was in search of something that really was fulfilling. And I had all these ideas. I spent time just reading a lot and watching documentaries. It's just, I got really obsessed with that. I have kind of get obsessed with things. So there was this time when I was 25, I had a couple of failed businesses by that point, just bucket list things that I wanted to have. Medical school was like, I don't know if I want to actually work as a doctor for the rest of my life. Just more on the entrepreneurial route. And I kind of had lost everything. I was 20, 25, 26. And I spent about a year and a half just learning about all the problems that the world had, from everything, politics, sociology, finance, everything, and just learning things. And I realized I could solve certain problems, and just ideas would pop in my head. But I actually this may sound funny, I read a Jim Rohn book, and it gave me the structure I was looking for to actually make a life plan. And I applied it, I just stuck to it, and it started working out. After about 3 months, I started seeing results. And I can't say, everything was due to that book and those videos that I saw, but sometimes you have great ideas, and structuring them is, where the execution starts. So I actually wrote down a plan, and I had a check boxes of, okay, I want to do something that's good, for people. I want to do something that makes my mom proud. My mom's like, since I was a child, she's like, you're going to be a doctor, that kind of mom. And I wanted to do something that could scale. I wanted to do something that could be a great business. And the idea evolved into this until I figured, seeing patients make lines around the hospital waiting to see a doctor. It'd spend at the general hospital in Mexico literally 4 or 5 hours, and they'd come from outside of the city. It was just, such a strong signal that was a need that needed to be solved. And so I thought, all right, we have telemedicine, we have video technology, streaming technology. Skype existed back then. This is 2011, 2012. And I thought, let's try to start there. And so, it was originally, I learned in medical school, the power of analytics and data with epidemiology. And so I knew that was a path to try to monetize in some way, make a business out of it. And it evolved into what you saw. But basically, there was this moment when I just felt inside me that this was my calling. It's a weird thing. Sometimes I try to explain it to people, but the reality is that, some people find it later on in life. Some people find it earlier on. Sometimes you develop into that person. And I just found it. And I thought this is the best thing I could do with my life. And it just became my obsession, and I've just followed that path until here we are,
So how long ago did you first start raising money for this? Because this thing isn't something some dude can build in his basement. This is like elaborate stuff. How much have you raised?
Between financing and equity, 350 million.
350 mil. How long is it going to take to get that back based on projections?
Well, we think that we can achieve $1 billion in yearly revenue within the next 4 years, just in the US.
Yeah. Well, I mean, technically, if everybody adopts it, it's going to be $1 billion a week.
Yeah, it could be even more than that. But, we're using our conservative models. That's what we're projecting. We'll see what happens, but we're definitely trying hard, and obviously there's many people involved.
Well, you have a lot of investors. Obviously, they're probably not stupid, and they did the research and realized, we'll get our money back, no problem. Yeah. So how do you monetize it if it's not for the healthcare? Pharmacies are core.
We noticed that most patients would come out with some sort of either suggested product or a prescription. So that was low hanging fruit for us. We thought, okay, we have the consultation order. We created all the protocols, everything that you saw. That was all our creation. And then, pharmacy is a very noble business. It really works in many parts of the world. That's our core. And then we added our blockchain component, which in itself is a huge innovation on the data side. Yeah, I can explain that a little bit deeper, but it's also a revenue stream, and it also adds shareholder value. Just we're kind of in like a perfect storm for this, because I actually thought that was hugely significant years ago, but many people still don't even understand what blockchain technology is, or cryptocurrencies, or how they can be actually applied to certain industries to benefit them. But in the end, it's just a technology. It's how you apply that really. So it's a combination, but our core business is pharmacy, not pharmaceuticals, pharmacy. It's very different. And we have developments. We're currently doing developments for hospitals as well. What you saw just translated to a hospital setting for optimization of hospitals. But our core business and what we project that we can get to $1 billion in revenues within the next 4 years is because of pharmacy.
So when I call in with a headache and they prescribe me whatever, you're selling me that.
We own our own pharmacy. We can sell that in all 50 states.
Are you able to keep up with all of the prescriptions that would be assigned?
Well, of course. I mean, that's like any pharmacy would. We can
but dude, that would have to be a huge pharmacy.
Well, it's multiple distribution centers. It's just essentially we have one in the East Coast, putting others throughout the country.
Or you can just partner with people.
Some are partnerships as well. But we're still on the path. We're investing a lot into logistics, robotic technology. It's just, I can't stress enough how the leaps in technology because of AI, you can train a robot now to literally do things. And this is happening right now. It's not like, years away. If people aren't taking advantage of those things, you're losing out. And we're investing a lot into that to make essentially a pharmacy as efficient as possible. There's others that are doing the same thing. The good thing with pharmacy is that most of our packages are small, so you combine that with other things. There's drones and there's other things that, so we're investing heavily into that to really transform the delivery process as well. But
so you're like a little baby Elon Musk.
Not really. I mean, I think I admire Elon Musk a lot, man. He is.
But at some points, he was just sitting there, normal dude.
Yeah.
Thinking up ideas. People would talk to him and just see Elon Musk as pre-Elon that we see today.
Well, I can tell you, I was definitely inspired by him, by the whole PayPal mafia. I was living in Mexico studying and would look at these guys and, I was like, wow, it's amazing. And sometimes all you need is just to see somebody else do something significant, game changing. And it's like, all right, there's other paths, but really, inspired by them. I think I still think that there's that aspect of, I found what I want to do in life. That's played a big role because, I have other passions. I like, other things, cars and, I like architecture and stuff like that. But really this was like, what am I going to work in? And this just became my passion and it's worked out.
What's mom say?
My mom's super happy. Basically, I just take care of her and she's extremely proud. And it was one of the things that I want to do. My mom was a single mom, with three kids. My parents, I moved from Mexico to the US when I was 8 years old because my parents split up. I was born in Mexico. So immigrated to the US and grew up in the US. And my mom, struggled, but she always had, she was always like pushing us to read every night, lights off at 7, read your book. So I read all the classics before I was 12 years old. She was like, you're going to be a doctor, telling my brother, you're going to be a lawyer, you're going to be an engineer, putting that in our heads. And it does work. She was also a strict mom, but she's very proud of what we've done.
Yeah, because you could end up revolutionizing free healthcare.
That's the whole idea.
Do you think governments might end up like even because if you're making money on the pharmacy, eventually like those could be sponsored welfare programs to where like this person, they don't even pay for their pharmacy. Someone pays, but not them.
Yeah.
That could be like another level.
There's many levels, and I've talked with, presidents in different countries, and everyone has different kind of variations. What I did want to happen, and this is because of life experience, I didn't want to make it dependent on any government institution. This had to live on its own, be fully sustainable and scalable. Didn't want to depend. Now, obviously, it has, amazing uses for government, and there's different ways of going about that. But I just wanted to create something that would just scale globally, just because the quality of the service is so good and people loved it. And they just becomes like a second nature, to have it as or someone in your family, at least, to have our services and not be dependent on any politicians.
Does everyone need their own account, or can, like, I have an account and my children?
Everyone needs their own account. Yeah. Because, healthcare is individualized. Although most homes, the women kind of take care of the kids, and or they lead the healthcare kind of journey for a family. So we do have statistically more women that reach out initially, but everyone has to have their own account.
What do you see it doing to current telehealth companies?
Definitely disruptive. I try not, I went through this phase of life where I used to think of those things, and now I just realized that no one is really doing what we're doing, and their purpose is different. I know clearly what our purpose is: to solve free basic healthcare. That was, the main thing. And all the businesses, got developed around that goal. Some people just want to sell products, they just find ways of selling products. We were after solving that problem for the world.
The lines around the hospital.
Because of lines around the hospital, because of, in our past, we've had people in Latin America, for example, cysts on their face. They haven't left their home for years, literally. And it's like the sun comes up. Hey, Dad, you can speak to someone now. People that have these types of issues. That's really, we had a pregnant woman blotching a little bit of blood. And because of our service, she found out that she was about to lose her baby. Those are the things that, to me, when I saw that happen, I was like, all right, this is the right thing that I'm doing. So I just stuck with it, and just persevered through everything. The pandemic was a crazy example of a lot of the craziness that happened in healthcare globally. And I was just thinking, wow, we really need to get this everywhere as fast as possible.
Are you going to donate all the money you're going to make?
Not really. I just look.
You have no problem with making a bunch too. I always tell people, like, the best way to make a lot of money is to help a lot of people.
That's true.
So in this case, dude, you're going to be helping a lot of people, which means that you're going to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that, if you ask me.
Of course not.
A lot of people hate on, oh yeah, you're going to get rich. You're acting like an angel.
Yeah.
Well, again, I mean, the motive was to help people.
Yeah. That was always the motive, and it still is, and it will be for, many years to come. I originally had great success with this in 2018. The model is very different now. It's evolved. And there was a time where I was like, all right, I have millions of dollars. Really, I had a phase where I kind of splurged, traveled, doing the whole thing, like, getting the best table at a restaurant, things like that. But that kind of wore off after a bit. And I was like, well, people actually respect more the fact that what you're doing, not how you're showing off. So I don't know. I'm 41 years old now. I kind of just, that novelty has worn off. It's more become the obsession with just trying to solve this problem for the world. That's where I would say I want to look back 10 or 15 years from now and say, we did it. We solved this for the world. That would be the greatest validation for me. But hey, there's nothing wrong with making money, and actually capitalism is what allows us to do these things. It's really what's allowed society to advance so much.
Yeah. You're either going to solve it or inspire someone to finish the job. Because again, you're like the pioneer, and sometimes pioneers get the arrows.
That's
someone else comes in and gets the freaking trophies.
True. You know, one of the things that I thought of, and I'm so happy we were able to do it, was get DOCC.com. DOCC. You know, just have that as our brand, because
that's a great one.
I thought, well, whoever tries to copy us down the road, or we're still DOCC, you know, and it works in all languages. You know, it's just a beautiful thing in that sense. So it's just putting these pieces together over the years. It's like, oh, this could be the best thing for this. You know, it's come together now very nicely.
You also have doc.ai.
No, that's actually a whole another company. I think they got acquired. I remember years ago, they reached out to me, and because some people were confusing them. I would say .com is still king.
.com is always going to be king.
Yeah.
Because that's what started it all.
Exactly.
But you do have heavy AI embedded.
Yes, of course.
So it sounds almost like the AI does most of the heavy lifting and then spits out the information like in a millisecond for a doctor just to quickly review and approve and say yes, yes, yes.
Correct.
Do you think it'll ever be a point where there are no doctors because AI is better than any doctor in the world?
I would tell you that I actually believe we're on the path to creating that. I mean, what you witnessed, you know, we're training the system constantly now. What I would say currently is you can't have true quality care with the human element. Is that completely replaceable? At least from a regulatory perspective, you can't get a prescription if it's not a human behind a real human.
I know,
doctor.
but that'll change. Because pretty soon, dude, don't you think AI is smarter than any doctor? To where when the doctor says, you know, I'm going to prescribe you X. I mean, you know, I think it's the third largest cause of death is mistakes by doctors. They give it a fancy name. I forget what they call it.
Malpractice. Yeah.
No. There's a name for it. But if you look up like the top 10 causes of death, you know, you got your cancer and you got your heart disease. Doctor mistakes is like high on the list.
Yeah. Well,
and I think AI reading your face and would be able to say like, you know, well, here's the right path for this person. And then a doctor just gets, yep, because they have to now. But I think eventually once those AIs are 10 times smarter than any doctor, because really it's just knowledge.
Yeah.
And then who gave the doctor the knowledge? Mm-hmm. You know, they went to school and they were passed down the knowledge. Well, AI can master that knowledge, especially with your app, because it's training itself. All the doctors are actually reinforcing and training. And so eventually 3 to 5 years, which is forever when it comes to AI development, it could be where there are no doctors needed.
I think honestly, we're going to get to that point not too far from now. The main thing is, even if the AI can do all the work, does the patient feel like it was the correct solution? Now, there's not enough doctors to treat the global population. It's just impossible. But you can do a nice combination, which is what we're doing, to get to a point where you can optimize their time. Yeah. And, you know, it's really, maybe a doctor can just see the key things, figure it out.
Well, that's what nurses were for.
Well, you know, they're still there. Nurse practitioners can prescribe medication in the U.S.
That's my point. So like they created those to save doctors time.
Exactly.
And it's like pretty soon it's like you don't even need a doctor if the nurse practitioner can do most of it.
We're on the path for that. But ironically, you haven't seen a free solution. And that's the oldest thing, the puzzling thing. I'm like, well, why, you know, that's what's truly needed. But yeah, it's definitely going to happen. It's just a matter of time, you know, whether it takes 3 years or 5 years or 10 years.
So how much markup is in the medicine?
Some things 5%, some things 20%, some things 30%, depending on what you get. It varies on the medication. One thing that is very true that I have to admit, you know, it's been talked about a lot in the news in the US. The fact that drug prices are high in the US, I mean, they're a little bit higher is not, they're literally ridiculous 10 times higher than other countries.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Will my drugs come from other countries, or do they have to come from US?
No, that's all regulated. So, I mean, some drugs can come from other countries, but in our case, you know, it's just
I'm an idea guy. Do you want an idea?
Sure.
And again, it can be later. I would create a higher paid model. Do you have any paid models?
Well, I told you we're definitely it's a subscription model is in the works, but our goal
for me, like a paid model would be where you don't tell me what I get. I kind of tell you what I want.
Okay.
Now you have to approve it, but there's people out there. Hey, I want the BP 157 peptide. I want testosterone, and I'd like a little, Anavar.
Yeah.
Now they go bloop, 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 and they either approve it or they don't. But at the end of the day, there's people that know what they want.
Yeah.
But you have to find certain doctors to get it right now.
Yeah.
So there's guys that have 400 testosterone level. Well, there's some doctors that'll tell you that's plenty, especially for your age. Yeah. And then there's others that'll say, no, I can prescribe you testosterone based on that level.
Yeah.
So there's doctors that have differences.
That's right.
So what do guys do with means? They find a doctor that'll prescribe it.
Exactly.
So that should be a paid service.
That sounds like a good idea. Although those types of decisions I don't make, our medical directors make, and we're very ethical because of the nature of our services. When we first did in the old days, we actually during the pandemic had a not such a sophisticated version of our services running. People would call in, asking for opioids all the time.
Well, yeah, you can't do those.
You can't do those, but there are medical uses for them, obviously. But we just decided, just eliminate them across the board.
That was a good decision.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that have to be reviewed on a regular basis, and sometimes you get cases that are just like, what the heck? This is a new thing, not normal things.
What would you guys have done during COVID? Would you have prescribed ivermectin?
Well, if again, those things, the medical directors decide that. I just thought that a lot of the information that was going around during the pandemic was erroneous, and I thought, wow, I actually, some years ago, I had a meeting at the FDA, for example. They have wonderful, very smart people there. They were like, we showed them, this is what we're doing. And I thought, what's going on? Like, who's actually controlling these reports or going out to the media and stuff like that? And I just thought, my goodness, there should be something that makes at least the analytics more transparent. The pandemic for me was a good example of a lot of the problems in healthcare globally. It was just like, all right, people want, they need the primary care. They're trying all these different paths. They're testing, experimenting with different medications. Some doctors, weren't sure. They're just looking at the CDC or other institutions to guide them. And it was just craziness. It was just a perfect example. I think as long as we gave the service, it was everything gone through the right way. That's what we would have stayed on that route, just prescribing what is, accepted. But I do think that it was, I still have my doubts on the vaccines and things like that. And
what doubts?
Well, I have one of the people in our company, for example, his family members had blood clots and things that had to get a leg amputated. He says it's because of the vaccine.
Well, there's a lot of studies out that confirm all that now.
Yes, that's true.
And now they're allowed to talk about it. If for some reason during the pandemic, you weren't allowed to say any of that, even though it was still true.
That's true.
And that's why it's like, no, there's something crooked going on. I wish we could figure out that, because at the end of the day, if you have medical directors that are being held to the same standard as what they call standard healthcare, well, what if we want above standard healthcare? Because if the medical board said you're not doing ivermectin and you're a doctor, then you didn't do ivermectin. Now, there were some doctors that said, screw them, I'm doing it anyway.
Yeah.
Which ones do you have?
We have both. In the end, the doctor decides what gets prescribed. The doctor who's treating you.
What if me as the patient doesn't like it?
Then you can just try again.
But have you factored that in?
Well, there's patients that always, we've had patients in the past that are expecting, they feel entitled. They think that they should get a certain type of prescription. That's actually a pain point that our medical director actually pointed out. He's like, well, some people call in, they're just automatically expecting a prescription when, they may not even need it. And then there's the opposite too. Some people need things, but
what is there a second opinion button?
No, there's not. There's not with us.
You should. You should though.
That's
another good feature.
That's a good feature. Yeah.
Listen, if you pop on and you're, well, Brad, I'm going to prescribe you this because you got that, and I go, I want a second opinion.
Yeah.
It should just go, no problem, and then whip, dial me into another one.
I'm glad you saw it. You saw our stuff, Bradley, because you got good ideas. But no, there's a lot of things in the works. The second opinion. These are additional features.
If you ever had that, I own 10%.
Yeah.
But that'd be a good feature. I'm just trying to think if I were using the thing, not abusing the thing, because there's the difference. If I'm using the thing, I probably wouldn't need a second opinion, but on occasion, there's probably people that would want one, especially if the diagnosis wasn't very good.
Yeah.
Or you're prescribing me something that I know I'm allergic to, but then I am talking to the doctor, so I'm sure that wouldn't be it wouldn't be a thing because it's not AI, it's an actual person.
That's correct.
What else would I think? Now, if I was trying to abuse the system, again, I want painkillers. So I'm going to tell you my back hurts. How do you guys know if it does or doesn't? Because there's certain things that doctors don't know.
No,
like you can go to a doctor and say, man, my back's killing me. And they can't tell you that your back's not killing you. I got pain, doc. I got pain. I just need pain relief. And so all they're trying to do is get some sort of prescription for pain.
Yeah.
Which I don't know how you're going to deal with that.
No, well, that's we've already dealt with that in the past.
But it's because it's free. Everyone and their dog's going to have it.
Like I said, because of the steps that they take, generally people respect the service. There's always people that try to game the system or try to abuse of it, but that's controlled very quickly.
Not only that, AI is probably going to be able to read like you're not in pain. Because if you were in pain, your heart rate would be elevated. There's like vitals that would change if you were actually in pain.
I was about to say that there's a lot of monitoring that's done that points it out without the patient even knowing. There's what you saw showed you both sides.
I almost wanted to say, let me see what my blood pressure is. Let me see what my heart rate is.
Oh, we'll do it. We'll do it after.
Yeah, because what if it's like, Brad, you better get to the doctor.
We'll do it after. We'll see. I'll show you. It's amazing what we can see now. And like I said, earlier, AI now is taking over everything. Even just people, every camera could be recording something and analyzing something. You don't know if you're walking on the streets and stuff. The level of precision and the level of insight that it can derive is incredible. It depends what you apply it to. For us, it was solving healthcare. We needed to essentially do that legwork for the doctor. That's what we're doing. But it only gets better. It's only literally getting better as time goes by. So what we're actually focused on for the future is creating within our services incentive programs to follow on treatments to maintain your health. If you're degrading for whatever reason in your healthcare, in your body, in your mind, to know how to catch it early. And preventative medicine, that's a basis for it. It's really what the world needs the most.
Somebody told me that there's someone alive today that'll live to 200 years old. You believe that?
Definitely. CRISPR technology, CRISPR-Cas9, I think they won the Nobel Prize in 2010 for it. And now you can actually do gene editing, which is incredible in itself. And now with AI, you can actually analyze the whole genome sequence. We're also, that's one of the things that we have in the works. We're doing some major investments, but it's focused on essentially eliminating aging. You can now. I think George Parrish at Harvard, he has a lab, and they essentially already have a method to eliminate aging completely and reverse it.
And reverse it?
Yeah.
Where is that? Who's that?
George Parrish. I believe it's Dr. George Parrish. He's a Harvard researcher. as a lab, and they've essentially reversed aging in animals. I think they've done only mice, or I haven't updated myself in that.
Do they have human trials yet?
Not yet. What we do know is, or what they know and what I know is that it's a combination of things. You can go after a single thing, like finding a way for the cells to keep the telomeres at the end of the chromosome. So every time the cell replicates over time, you get the full genetic information. So that maintains you a certain health state. Because over the years, we lose fragments of genetic information every time our cells replicate. So that's what I learned in medical school, that was the cause of aging. But it's really a combination of things as well. At least what George Parrish says, he says, okay, there's senescent cells, which basically they're alive cells in the body, but they're just like zombies. They're just there taking up space. If you remove those, that also rejuvenates your age, or you get can reverse some aging. And there's other techniques. There's some at the genetic level, and there's different supplements that you can take. I would say what we have a plan within that. We have a research and technology division, which we're doing right now. We're doing some drug development, an adenosine-based drug, which is one of the components of DNA, adenosine. And there's just so much interesting things you can do, but eliminating aging is a grand goal. For me, it's been solving free basic healthcare. I thought, okay, that's what the world needs now. Down the road, I think just healthcare in general is going to just follow that route to eliminate aging, because now we know that just because of CRISPR-Cas9 technology and AI, the combination of those two can lead us that. It's just a matter of time. Which generation is going to be the first generation to live that? Maybe we're one of them.
Man, imagine if you lived forever.
Well, it's a true possibility.
Yeah, but you would have to have a whole lot of money.
Probably.
Yeah. You guys better also learn how to make some money.
Definitely.
So one of the ways to make money is get invested with freaking DOCC.com, DOCC on the Nasdaq. Should be available as of today.
Yeah.
Because this is going to drop. The second you tell me what day you're going live, I'm going to tell my team to drop it.
Yep.
So folks, that should be this day. Well, Charles Nader, and by the way, you guys can follow him at Chuck Nader, Nader, or at Charles Nader on Twitter. Website's doc.com, just like it sounds, doc.com. Where are you most online?
Instagram and Twitter. Those are most of the time.
Do you answer your own DMs?
Yeah, I do. I definitely answer them. I get a lot of them. I don't answer all of them, but I definitely read through them. So if they're worthy, I answer them. We also have a Telegram chat group. I do AMAs there. People can. I do AMAs maybe once a month or every 3 months. I mean, that's changing now, but I try to be. I've been a public person in regards to trying to solve this problem for many years now. And, it's, I'm mostly active between Twitter and Instagram, and, people can reach out there.
You have any books
that I would recommend?
No, that you've written.
No.
What is your end goal? Let's say this comes out, goes to billions of dollars. Obviously, financially, you're done.
Yeah.
You save the world. What's next?
If we have it in all continents and all basically all the markets have it, for me, at least with this mission, I'd be done. And I still think that's, going to take us some more years to get to that point. But I've been at this pursuit for years now. It's been, since I was 28 years old, essentially focused on this. So until that happens, I won't stop, for sure. And there's just so many other things, for me, the next thing after that would be, all right, let's eliminate aging. That would be the next thing.
Text me when that happens. And hurry up if you don't mind.
No,
every day I look in the mirror and I see videos. I'm like, dude, my eyes are like closing. My eyelids, it's like, wait a minute, dude. Yeah. I'm starting to see an older version of me, which I think I look pretty good for 56.
My goodness. Wow.
When I was
Very good,
when
man.
I was young, I thought 56 was like an old man. Yeah. Now I'm 56. I still feel 30 or 25. Like I feel great, but I'm starting to look older. And it's like, how do we stop that? And maybe even take about 10 years off and leave me right there until I die.
I actually think that's going to be a possibility within the next 10 years, at least reduce your age, biological age. One thing though that is very important, maybe you can stay how you are, but just for a longer period. So your quality of life doesn't change. Like, traditionally you see someone that's, they go from 70 to 80 years old, and the 80 is like a big change, it could be that you were 80 years old and look like a 56-year-old, that could happen in the short term. Completely eliminating aging and reversing it, I think that's a harder task. There's still, some things to be determined in regards to the science behind it, but we're on. I mean, there's other groups out there in the world, research institutions that are on that path. I think it's a possibility, and it's taking that research and translating it into a product people can actually take. That's but it's going to happen. I really think it's just inevitable now with AI, with gene editing technology. It's an inevitability. It's just going to be seeing which generation is the first one to actually get that, because that will be the generation that will essentially live forever.
What would you tell the entrepreneurs listening that don't think as big as you have?
Well, I would say definitely think bigger, because if you can do something, to whatever scale you're doing it, it's very likely that you have the capacity to do it at a bigger level. And it's the same 24 hours. If you do something big, you're still living the same 24 hours other people are living. So that's why I used to live in a building in Mexico City, and I had a straight line view of the Latin American tower. It used to be the tallest tower in Latin America. And I was, I was inspired by all these business people as well that were changing the world. But that tower itself was owned by Carlos Slim. And I would see it from my bed, and I would think, wow, I mean, that guy started at a young age working and stuff and built. Now he's the wealthiest man in Mexico. And it was just a reminder of, he had the same, my grandfather was roughly a little bit older than he was, but than he is. And I just thought, it's just those decisions that you make within that same 24 hours. If you think big, you can do it. You have, it's just the mindset. It makes a big difference.
That's right. Well, I appreciate you coming in. Can't wait for this thing to launch, see the success of it. I would highly recommend all the listeners go do your own due diligence. Don't take it from me. This isn't advice. I'm not a financial consultant, but I would say that get in quick, because this is one of those things that, boom, your stock price is going to like raise considerably quickly. And I would suggest that people like put a little dough into old DOCC.com. But again, do your own advice. Do your own due diligence. You see some of these influencers getting in trouble because they say, man, I'd invest in that. And then they do, and they get screwed, and then they're screwed. Yeah, I don't want to be screwed. But it sounds good to me. I think I'll be putting a little bit of something in it. And definitely with the anti-aging, because I think right now, dude, that's why I want you to come up with a higher level, because there's peptides out there that are doing incredible things, reducing inflammation, but you got to go find a doctor that understands it all, because most regular doctors, they're like, what? BP7, what? So it's like, where do you find these people? So if you can get it on DOCC.com, where it's like, hey, you want to up level to a concierge level. Yeah. Now we can maybe listen to more what you're looking for. Cause I want testosterone. I want HGH. I want BP 157. And I'm just making up the stuff people are out there doing that I know that are like successful. Yeah. Cause they think it's anti-aging. It may not be, it may be harmful.
Could be. Definitely having more muscle always helps. That's it's a positive thing for aging. Cognitive capacity. If you there's a lot of new research on that, but I would say between anti-aging the whole genre. Sleep is also one of the least studied parts of medicine in general. There's a lot of interesting, really amazing things about sleep. And genetics, those are really big. I mean, they're going to transform healthcare. I say we're focused on drug development right now with, and doing things, you'll see them down the road, but we're living very interesting times. I think it's not too far off for these things to come.
Indeed. What can the Bomb Squad do for you?
Help us get the word out. I can't stress enough, the people who use our service, it may be basic, but I swear to you, it saves lives. There's from basic things to extreme things. Get the word out, and suggestions are always welcome as well. I all the things that you said, that's great feedback on, products that we could create in the future. I'm always looking for feedback from the general public. That's why I participate and do the AMAs on a regular basis, because it's a constant feedback loop. And, that's, I'm very grateful to be here, and I appreciate, helping out in any way possible to let the world know more about us.
Well, thanks for coming in, folks. You guys heard him. Share this episode out, make it the most shared episode in history, so we can get the word out. Free healthcare, one for all. Folks, until next time, keep it real.
Awesome.